Welcome back to The Wrap. Don't forget James Macdonald to join us a little bit later on in the program. Let's take a look back at yesterday's two Group 1s, both swept by the rider who took out the carnival record of 10 wins. He did it aboard Zaki in yesterday's Paramount Plus Mackinnon Stakes for Annabelle Nation. The 10th victory Zaki has had. It's been a remarkable year since he first set foot on an Australian racetrack as a rank outsider in a Doncaster back in April. He's cut a swathe, 6 Australian wins, Group 1 Doomben Cup, Underwood and Mackinnon. He was scratched from the Cox Plate, as we mentioned. It was 4 weeks between runs, Hutch, but he was superbly presented by Annabelle Nation. And as you mentioned prior to the break, James Macdonald was able to roll and control the tempo as he liked, and when he let go on straightening, though he was going to be hard to catch. A record 10th win for the Carnival and a fantastic moment crossing the line, shared with Brett Preble, who just had to be behind him in second aboard Cascadian, who was very good at his first try at 2000. Moonga third, KO Nortique, who you pushed up for on Spring Contenders during the week, ran really well in fourth. And the other story, the underperformer of the race, was Colette, who was lame.
Yeah, well, they always run fourth when you recommend them on a place line, don't they? But James, he had a game plan. He thought, I'm going to set my own agenda. And when you look at the sections, I mean, haven't gone quick. I mean, to the 800, they're 4.5 lengths lower, and then he ramped it up. What's a bit disappointing in terms of the overall performance of the race for me, just looking at the sectionals, is it hasn't rated that well, which it might not off the raw times, but even his last 800 wasn't great. But look, he won it well.
His conditions probably given out in the last furlong, given his 4 weeks between runs. He was 12.6 the last furlong, but the race was over by then.
500 metres, Macdonald hasn't moved yet. Zaki kick clear, 2 lengths, 3 lengths Homesman, then Dalasan Moonga, back behind them Cascadian, Colette hungry hard to the outside, but now Zaki lets rip, and at the 250 he's 4 in front of Cascadian, then Moonga and Homesman. Zaki the leader at the 100 metres, he's well clear, he's 2.5 Cascadian, Zaki holding on, Zaki won the Mackinnon, won it by a length Cascadian, third Moonga, and they were followed by...
It's really noticeable for me watching and listening back to the race. Both times yesterday, Hutch, on course, when Nature Strip and Zaki established their break on their respective fields, the crowd involvement and the crowd interaction, because they were basically the 2 horses most people on course had come to see yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah, it was great. I mean, I was fortunate enough during the week to go as a part owner of a horse, and it was a buzz, and it was great to have people back there yesterday. And we had a big crowd alongside of us, didn't we, underneath watching not only the race at Flemington, but must have been everywhere in Australia, and there was a lot of cheering going on and people enjoying themselves, which is just what you want to hear.
Yeah, I agree. It was just outstanding. It seemed a sense of trials for us working, but it was just amazing.
People ask him for a drink at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know the guy.
Autographs?
He was cars come for a beer. I said, mate, I'm working.
Well, the Cuz is almost as popular as the Dusty haircut-wise on course,
yeah,
from what I could tell yesterday.
No,
Simo, let's talk about Annabelle Nation. We mentioned prior to the break just the training performance, and I think she took out her licence in her own right in August last year. Moonga, her first Group 1 winner in a Rosehill Guineas back in March. It's one thing to be given the stock, but you've still got to do something with it, and her training efforts so far have been incredible.
And when you look at the context of where her background prior to that, she set up the Warwick Farm stable for Ma Eustace and had enormous success up there. But to have the confidence in her own ability at such a young age to say, I think I can do this myself, I think I can build my own business, and to achieve Group 1 success, multiple Group 1 successes in such a short time frame. I've said it on the show before, I think she's potentially, and this is a massive call, but the next Gai Waterhouse of Australian racing. She's just an incredible horseman. Her talents in identifying horses, and I've been privy to this with some jumpers she's bought out of the UK for me when she was working with Kieran and David. She spotted a horse that we bought for about £50,000. You know, she's every aspect of racing. She rides her own work. She sat on Moonga during the week, so she can give an insight into horses that other trainers can't, because she's just so versatile. So her star will continue to rise, and she'll have the large owners that are already supporting her, continuing to support her.
No mean feat what she's done with Zaki. I mean, to take it off Sir Michael Stout and She's clearly got the horse going well. I think she has improved. I know there's a sort of some of the rhetoric as well, or maybe Zaki's at the same level, and you know, some of our depth's not as strong, which is also a possibility. But one thing's for sure, Zaki's been far more consistent since he's joined her care, and he seems to be loving what she's doing. She's clearly doing an unbelievable job.
I was able to see firsthand what she could do with a thoroughbred, because I used to ride Dubious, and she was with Kieran Marr, David Eustace then, so she travelled with the horse, rode all his work, and I would just fly to Sydney or wherever, Brisbane, I needed to, just to trial him all before his races, and she was always spot on. She would tell me how he's going, and when she would say he would win, he won. And very, very good horsewoman.
She has won the Mongolian Derby as well, which is no mean feat.
Did you have a bet on that, Mike? Did you manage to get anything on?
You couldn't get on.
I'm sure you could have.
Not for anything substantial, Hutchie.
Yes. It'd be hard capturing the IVR data, I would have thought, for a Mongol Derby.
You're going to make it up.
Just before we get to the Darley Sprint Classic, there's a great boxing documentary out, The Kings, which chronicles the great time through the 80s of Hearns, Hagler, Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard. Kind of feel what's happened through the spring. We haven't seen Zaki very elegant and incentivised in the one spot yet in the one race, and God, I hope it happens come the autumn that we might see them get together for maybe not an Australian Cup. That might come a little bit quickly, but potentially at Queen Elizabeth. 2,000 metres. I'd love to see the three of them be going head to head.
Firm track, wet track?
Well, it was hard enough was this week, mate. I'm not going to give you Sydney.
It doesn't really matter for any of them, does it? They all seem to get through it pretty well.
Very elegant. Kiwis will rise to the top.
Yeah, I've heard that this week.
I think we're just lucky we've got so many high-class horses that are at the peak of their powers at the same time, because there's nothing better in this sport than competition. Having a horse go around at $1.20, that's in no one's interest really, other than the connections and the trainer of that horse. But to see the best horses, you know, the likes of Very Elegant, Incentivised and Zaki running over weight for age, you know, 2,000 metres, 2,400 metres.
Forgetting Animo, of course, who ran all right in the Cox Plate too.
But this is the intriguing thing for me is, as exhilarating as the last couple of months have been and all these exposed and established form lines are now, they haven't all been in the one place yet, which I think gives us so much to this time of year to think, oh, gee, it's a bit shallow, but it's far from.
No, it's not shallow, and you know, they're all very nice horses. So, we've spoken a lot about Incentivised through the spring and a remarkable spring that he had, and to think that he only had 10 starts, I think 10 career starts, and to achieve what he has, so he could be anything as well.
Nature Strip won his 7th Group 1 yesterday and joined the Great Black Caviar as the only dual winner of the Darley Sprint Classic since it was, of course, moved to weight for age and the final day of the carnival some 15 years ago. Cruises to a 3 1/4 length victory as he did 2 years ago. He hit a peak of 75 kilometres an hour in the run, Hutch.
That's fast. That's pretty fast, I've got to say. With the IVR daily sectionals, wasn't really adjusted. A couple of the straight races, perhaps with the tailwind, Vince deciding to sort of leave them where they were, but it was a great run on the clock. He was one of the few that was really posted some slick sectionals through the day. You'd expect him to win the race, he certainly did it, and far too good for his
Streets of Avalon on its own over on the far side. Triple coiled up, led by 3/4 of a length to September Run, and they dash clear from Bella Nipotina. Here's 200 metres. 3 lengths September Run. Bella Nipotina swats Nature Strip, who explodes away. He's going to do it again. Conquers another mountain. His second Darley Classic one at 2.5. Swats that photo third.
Yeah, he was $1.30. Yeah, we thought he was going to win. But again, you hear the crowd there, like they were there for the spectacle, and he gave them what they were hoping.
Should have by the Classic legend, though. If you look at the horses coming through the Everest, there's only one in Nature Strip that made the trip down to Melbourne, yet you had Eduardo, Masked Crusader, Lost and Running, that all decided to back up a couple.
A mistake, but would this have been a better option for them?
The way the race was run yesterday, there's no way Masked Crusader would have got anywhere near Nature Strip. You know, Nature Strip just controlled the race on his terms, got to the 400, put his foot on the gas. You know, it was almost a Group 2 race with Nature Strip in it.
Flemington 1200 versus Rosehill 1300 would have been more suitable for Master Crusader?
Well, it depends how the race was run. I mean, Eduardo controlled the tempo in the Classic Legend. They tried to ride Master Crusader upside down and it didn't work. So I think Master Crusader is one of these horses where he needs everything to fall into place on the day. Otherwise, he can't use that exhilarating turn of foot that he's got.
Yeah, he was very good in the average, though, wasn't he? I think he's 1,000, 8, 6, 4, 2. But you're right. I mean, it was a frustrating run from him last start. Cuz, you got something to add?
Yeah, he's, from a jockey's point of view, he's gone from a horse that we used to joke about in the jockey's room was like, Nature Strip, is he going to pull up today? Is he going to run past 1,000 metres? Now he's gone from that to, in the jockey's room, everyone will be going, I want to ride this horse, you just love to ride him. What I liked about James yesterday, he was the only one really by himself in the middle. He didn't want to get him by other horses and get him over racing, so he took his time before he allowed him to come out and over in front of the field. You've seen that head on. He was there by himself with the horse, Zach Spain rode, went to the inside, Streets of Avalon, went to the inside fence. Well, the rest of the field were out wider, and Nature Strip was just by himself doing his own thing, and James knew that. He just wanted to keep him relaxed. Then he decided, now I'll front of the field, and that's when he let him down and he just exploded.
Much better run from Swats that, and I just noted there as well, it's a great shot that Chopper shot came from last. They rode her a lot more patiently, and she had a very good last 200 in it, and fastest
last 600 of the entire meeting.
I think they've learnt something there yesterday. They probably thought, well, she's been a bit disappointing. She's had excuses in other runs as prep, but she might be one of those famous back markers that we know you love, Michael.
She'll win a big race at some stage, I think. If she gets conditions to suit, she's got Group 1 written all over her.
Ran a big race in the Newmarket earlier in the year. Troy Corstens and his team from Allure Racing right behind my spot watching the race, and they were cheering and celebrating like they'd won the race. It's a really significant placing for her in terms of her page going forward. They're
extremely valuable, these Group 1 placings in races like the Darley Sprint or the VRC Sprint. On the CV, when you're a multiple Group 1 place getter, we've seen horses like Minhaj get sold through the broodmare sales over the course of the last 6 months. They're worth many millions of dollars now just on their pedigree.
Very similar form line, so it's probably been a multi-million-dollar result for them, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Another Group 1 placing for Bella Nipotina. What a preparation she's had for Kieran Murray and Dave Eustace.
Yeah, look, in fairness to the Hayes team, she was always very consistent when she was with them. Maybe she's matured a little bit more now, but she was terrific, yeah. She's going to win a nice race. I'm not sure. I know she was runner-up, of course, to Jonker in the Manikato. I'm not sure that she'll find a Group 1, but she's probably that tier below, and she's very consistent.
I would have thought you could see horses like Bella Nipotina and Swats that running in a Sangster next season before they go off to start. That's their race against their own sex, 1,200 metres.
Chris Wallach came to town yesterday, of course, very elegant, taking the Melbourne Cup out for his stable. Earlier in the week, he made his way to Stakes Day yesterday. We spoke to him after the victory of Nature Strip in the Darley Sprint Classic.
He's there, right there. I don't know what's above it or what's below it. They've all been great, and he's a very special horse. I think longevity is the key with these good horses, and there's a great group of sprinters going around. We saw on the Everest last start, Eduardo and Master Crusader. They're serious horses, and I think Australia's got some really good sprinters, and it was good to bring them down here today. It's a long prep for these horses, and to hold them up is a credit, I think, to my team. They do a fantastic job day in, day out, all around Australia, and I'm very proud of them.
He's not far off being undefeated this year. What does 2022 look like?
Well, just go through the basics, give him a holiday, which is what he deserves, and find some nice races, and maybe overseas if the owners are keen to go. We've planned it twice before, but COVID's put a stop to that, but COVID's put a stop to most things. So we dare not complain. Racing's continued, and we should all be very proud here in Australia, and well done to those people that are watching at home. It's been a tough period.
Yeah, well said. The first question I put to Chris Waller, where you saw his hands go, he's right there, was in reference to where does Nature Strip sit in the pecking order, and this is great pub talk, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people leaning on a bar about it in terms of where does Nature Strip sit amongst his 130 Group 1s. Nature Strip's won 7 of them. We know Winks, we know Very Elegant, but it is a interesting question to sort of work out where he would sit in the pecking order of his champs.
I notice how Chris made reference to longevity, and if you look at Chris as a trainer, the horses he's had in the last 5 or 6 years, the likes of Winx, Nature Strip, Very Elegant, he just gets them to perform so well into their 6, 7 and 8 year old season. So like Winx has won, what's she win in prize money, 15, 16 million. He's got Nature Strip at a similar level and Very Elegant. So,
and the prize money with Winx is a little bit distorted comparison to Nature Strip runs in 3, Everest wins one of them, and suddenly his prize money shoots not far off what she's won.
Well, I suppose it poses the question to us more so as well. You know, we're seeing a lot of good colts come through. They're being retired early. This guy's gelding. He didn't start with Chris. They had to geld him obviously quite early. And
he's the only trainer to win a Group 1 with Nature Strip, though, is Chris Waller.
True. That's not to say that
the others wouldn't
have gone there, that the others wouldn't.
Totally agree.
I think, but irrespective of that, Chris has done an amazing job. I'm not. We're seeing him race into later in his career, but a lot of the younger ones who won't because they're going off to stud. So
that's why you love it when the good horses are geldings.
Isn't it?
When the good horses are geldings, you just go tick, because that means that if they stay sound, you're going to see them for years and years. I mean, the affection that people have for horses like Very Elegant, for Nature Strip, for Winx, it's not because they come and win 4 races in one season and then they're gone. It's because you see them season after season, Melbourne and Sydney, left-handed, right-handed. That's what endears horses to people.
As an owner, Simo, so the propensity to want to, or at least be prepared to geld a horse that may have some potential for stud careers down the path, and you raise it around, say, Shakira and Ranch Hand yesterday, who have ownership who clearly would like to be able to do that, but those horses might not get to the potential of what they could if they don't have the cut.
Yeah, and most horses that I'm involved in, I'm sort of one of sort of 10, 15, 20 owners, so it needs to be a group decision as to whether you decide to geld a horse or continue on, but I'm usually in the camp of very happy to geld, because only a small percentage of them make it to start, and by gelding the horse you can have a longer career and maybe optimise its performance as well.
Time for a break on the wrap. We chat to the record breaker, James McDonald, live after this.